off. How are you enjoying the latest set 5? I've seen a lot of comments. A few people are underwhelmed. Obviously there seem to be a lot of filler cards. There seem to be a lot of decisions that are maybe a bit weird, right? If we can take a look here at the cards. Let me refresh the page because they might have added something. So if we go to set 5 and we go through the cards, for example, there is, yeah, I haven't actually like tried the filter, right? For example, if we go to this Perdita, right? Why the puppy archetype of deck, the puppy theme, is already something that needs all the help it can get. So and the puppy cards are mostly in amber, but so why basically limit the puppy cards to be paired with sapphire? Puppies need all the help they can get. Maybe the best way to complement the deck is, for example, steel, because one of the solutions was one of those. It has one of those decks that had a lot of puppies and the Dalmatians, and it had like a Stitch Rockstar and Prideland, so you could have all these characters that cost 2 or less, and basically put them on the board and then activate Stitch Rockstar and draw a card, for example. And you can, if you want to play this Perdita, you're gonna be stuck with Sapphire and you can no longer do that. So I think the idea that they had, and I get it, was to make these dual link cards fulfill archetypes without specifically boosting like one color. So maybe if a specific strong card was actually just Ruby instead of Ruby Steel, it would be massively OP. But because Ruby Steel is a tough deck that hasn't really cracked the meta or anything close to it, they actually boost just the Ruby Steel ink combo and those possible archetypes. So I get that idea, but they need to be useful. All these dual link cards that are basically useless are just filler. I think it's wasted potential, basically. I don't want to be negative, right? But it's wasted potential. Like, oh, sorry, it's not this one. Like, I get this Mirabelle Madrigal card, which is Amber and Amethyst. Okay, so Evasive comes from the Amethyst ink, and the Singer comes from the Amber cards. But it's weird sticking this in Amber Amethyst, especially since usually the Amber Amethyst decks are either like super hyper aggro, right? They aren't interested in singing stuff, or it's basically purple Fasa. So it's purple Mufasa, which also isn't interested in singing a lot of stuff. And if you just want this card in something like purple Fasa, for the evasive, you have better Amethyst card for that, right? Yeah, for a Madrigal deck, but how many actually? Let's check. Let's eliminate here the filters, and how many Madrigals are there? So we basically have, okay, if we wanted to do a Madrigal deck, we have Steel. There's only one. Okay, there's nothing in Sapphire, nothing in Ruby, nothing in Emerald, and yeah, it's basically Amber Purple for the Madrigals, but it seems like a waste, right? At least they are sticking with the theme. Okay, they're not putting like this Mirabelle Madrigal card in something useless that has no other Madrigal cards like Emerald or Ruby or Sapphire. But I mean, couldn't this be something better and more useful, right? It doesn't fit hyper aggro, it doesn't fit purple Fasa, and no one is really using thematic Madrigal decks, which I have no problem with. But if you're using it, it's purely for fun, and I mean, even in league play, at least half the players are trying like their best decks. Maybe not completely full meta because they are trying a few cards, but they are basically using decks that are close to that, right? So I do think there's a lot of wasted potential. Then there are cards that seem really good, like the Troubadour, musical narrator, resist 1 and sinker 4, costs 2. It's a 1/3 that quests for 1, and this card is good. This card is good, yeah. Who you think is singing? Look at this family. Which let me check. I think it's not here anymore. Look at this family, or this is my family. Well, yeah, it's a Madrigal, right? Gain 1 lore, draw 1 card. I think that's the card. This is the card you were mentioning, Staffson, right? Maybe if I eliminate this and search for family. You mean this? Yeah, it's the Madrigals as well, right? Yeah. It's the Madrigals. Again, all these cards are Madrigal themed. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I know they want to give flavor, and we have been talking on WhatsApp and on. I see that sort of conversation in groups. That it's from set 4 actually. It's from Ursula's Return. I see that conversation in groups like that. We could have more tournaments that are more thematic. Like you don't bring meta decks. Just bring the tournament is about villains or about heroes or about specific IPs, and maybe your entire deck needs to be 2/3 just an IP or just one character. And then obviously that limits the characters because there are a lot of characters that you don't have enough quantity, but something like that, right? And putting aside the fact that stores don't really have an incentive to run these tournaments, I mean, on the other hand, you might see it's a cool idea, but you're also relying that people, even though some of these are commons and uncommons, maybe they actually don't have the entire, like, the Madrigal roster, all these Madrigal cards. Maybe someone doesn't have all these Madrigal cards in order to make a Madrigal deck, so I get that they want to put out more Madrigal cards, maybe some more useful Madrigal cards. I don't hate this card, but yeah. What other things are there in set 7? But I like the idea. Obviously, one of the coolest ones seems to be green blue. Emerald Sapphire seems to have a lot of interesting cards. Giant Cobra. I think it's gonna see play. This card is gonna see play. It's a good card. Even though there's heavy competition in Amethyst, and Amethyst Steel is a ink combo that seems to be on the rise and getting better and better. Jester, thematic weekly champs are fun, but a lot of time people don't show up to them to support them. Yeah. Definitely. Cobra, yeah. Cobra, this is a good card. I'm not obviously I'm not like a big Amethyst player, but actually I really like this card. Has the illusion and vanish, the new things from set 5. This is a very interesting card. We have Pascal as well in the Amber Purple. Quest for 3 evasive, 3/3. It's not bad, but it's an inkable, which it's not perfect, right? Bolt. This card seems really good, and Shift 3, of course, they have to give us like a lower cost Bolt, which I don't think they have so far. But this is a good card for Ember Steel again. But Ember Steel, even though there are several different types of Ember Steel decks, like Diggy Hole, you have traditional Steel Song, you have the Steel Face, you have Ember Steel just pure aggro, like balls to the wall, go as fast as possible. Yeah, Hyper Aggro actually got some decent support, Jester. Yeah, definitely. And it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a cool card. And it even has a second ability to banish illusions, you know, so this is a good card. I'm gonna say hashtag dice to Medusa, but but yeah, definitely a very interesting card. I love the artwork in this. They are different artists. This is Alice Pisoni. They seem to be doing a few of these cards with the same sort of like really dark cartoony fantasy feel. Some of them were announced today, so they haven't been added to Dreamborn Ink. But they have like this like heavier, creepier, darker undertone to them, even though they are done in the cartoony style, which I've been really enjoying, right? But there was one specific one. I think it's like they added one card. I don't know if it was this Hades. When you play this card here, you may deal 2 damage to another chosen character of yours to banish chosen character. Right, it's not in this one. They added a card to one of the ink combinations which has nothing to do with that ink combination. Or is it Emerald Sapphire? Whenever a damaged character challenges another character, you may draw a card. There was a dual one which has nothing to do with the usual theme of that ink combo, but I don't remember which one it is right now. I don't think it's red blue. No, I don't think it's red blue. I mean, do we need to talk about this? Do we really need to talk about this? This is an insane card. I think one of someone at Ravensburger, maybe multiple people. I wish they could explain why they've been hell bent on really boosting Sapphire this much. I know Sapphire for a long time was like I'm gonna say quote unquote the worst ink combo, right? But the problem. They have done the dual links, but the issue I've been having is that they've been putting all these great Sapphire cards, and I know you can build red blue out of a variety of different configurations now, especially after Fame actually did the Maui Shark one with actions, and then you have like the traditional one, which is a mixture of ramp and items and characters, and then you have like the Ellie one that won Bologna, which was heavily item based, but it ends up being the same. Some of these more creative deck builders will end up finding a use for these Sapphire cards, and will get stuck again with red blue being the best, most annoying deck to both watch and play as possible. And then I think the designers in Ravensburg are just like in love with red blue, and it's I have to say it's annoying. Basically, that's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, the cards cost a lot, but they ramp like crazy, and they keep giving them ramp options, right? I think there was a card announced today that also ramped, and there's like an alternate ice block. Obviously, when you want to play in terms of your curve, maybe it's awkwardly fits in there because you don't. It costs 2 and basically detracts 2 strength from a character, but it's inkable. Obviously, you don't want to play it on 2 to replace a Tipo or something, but I mean, Ice Block is already a really overpowered dirty card that enables the rest of the cards to reach further than they should be, right? So you can use a Brawl on something that Brawl wasn't legally able to banish. So why boost this sort of stuff? I mean, I know people aren't really seeing right now which part of the curve they want that item to fit, but someone will figure out a way, and you basically get stuck with Ice Block and Ice Block 2.0, and you have 8 copies on the deck, and banishes everything. Yeah, no question. As in your right. Yeah, yeah. I get it, Jester. Yeah. Let's see. What about again? This is missing the cards that were announced today, right? In terms of legendaries, you only have these two right now here, so they're both Sapphire. In terms of super rares, Bolt is really good. Bell, it's too expensive. Queen of Hearts, I don't know. The 5 uninkable with only 2 strength. I'm really not sure, even though I like the Queen of Hearts cards, but I doubt this is gonna see use. And you really want to build Emerald Ruby in a different way other than this. This ability doesn't justify replacing something in Emerald Ruby. And Emerald Ruby, again, it's an ink combo that needs help to be really top tier viable, or more viable, even though it has a lot of potential there, especially with Maui Shark and all the songs, and you pair it with something like the Robin Hood Sharpshooter or the Ursula Deceiver of All. But this isn't it, right? If they wanted to give a dual link card to Emerald Ruby, this isn't it. Jafar, during an opponent's turn, whenever one of your illusion characters is banished, you may return that card to your hand. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to play this in a Jafar wheel deck. It provides a shift target, it quests for 2, and you can reuse illusions, but maybe some sort of Jafar wheel deck becomes a sort of Jafar wheel and illusions deck. I'm not sure. Then we have Lady in the Amber Emerald, 5 uninkable. Shift 3 is not bad. When you play this character, you may return up to 2 character cards with cost 2. Of course, Reanimator. That's immediately what I think. Reanimator. And if you put cards like Snow White, Well Wisher, and you have the Hades, the 4-cost Hades, and you have the big Chip and Dale, right? Let's check it out. You have the big Chip and Dale. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may return a character card from your discard to your hand. Now, the issue is that there's a build that uses this card, and it's based in Amber Sapphire, so it's not Amber Emerald, it's Amber Sapphire, so you are able to ramp and quickly get to a point where you are adding a lot. You put this on the table, and then you put 2 or more cards into your inkwell every turn, so that you can keep recycling like your characters that are banished, and then come back to your hand and you replay them with all the ink you have, activating this card, and of course trying to avoid this card from dying. I have that deck built up, and I need to test it. I want to do a video where I play like 20 games with it in Pixelborn Connect and see how it fares, especially using cards like the Bell that enables you to ink 2 per turn, or How Far I'll Go to get more card draw, and 1 Jump Ahead, and you have Grammatala, the small one, and you have Grammatala, the big one, of course, right? That's a dream. Everyone dreams of being able to use this card, right? Whenever a card is put into your inkwell, gain 1 lore. That's the dream. But basically the big combo of that is doing this with the squirrels, right? If you do Friend Like Me with the with that Chip and Dale card, you basically get 3 characters from your discard. It has potential, and then you put Ink Geyser in there and you keep adding cards to your Inkwell. You get characters back, but you've also given Inkwell to your opponent, so you play Ink Geyser to destroy his Inkwell, while you already have a lot of cards and you have a powerful card like Chip and Dale's. I don't know, there are a lot of ideas, right? I don't know how many cards they have announced from set 7 so far. This lists 55. They've probably announced like 10 or 15 cards today. So we still have a lot to go on a 24 card set. On a 204 card set, right? They seem to be... Basically, Ember Ruby could be a lot of things. And Ember Ruby would be an archetype that you have like self-damage and healing. But they seem to be just trying to boost Ember Ruby to be a racer archetype. Racers deck, Wreck-It Ralph cards and Vanellope's and Taffetas and all that stuff. And you have both Speedway locations. It's a gimmick deck. Maybe it works and maybe it's fun, but I'm not sure that's what Ember Ruby actually needed. So, or what players wanted when they build an Ember Ruby deck. It's either again a deck that has is damage and you heal it to draw cards and to progress your win condition, and it's usually red Mufasa, right? It's a red Fasa. So going the racer route remains to be seen and depends on the other cards that they announce. Of course, this card could be crap anyway. No one cares because it's Lady Cluck. So yeah, that's awesome. Awesome to see this character here. Costs 5, Inkable, a 2/7, Bodyguard and Ward. Sure, I'm not the biggest connoisseur of Sapphire Steel, so I'm not really going to comment that much on it, right? Again, we have Mad Hatter, you know, again with the Emerald Ruby Ink combo. Whenever a damaged character challenges another character, you may draw a card. I mean, if you build an Emerald Ruby deck where you keep challenging things, or you play the Maui or something, I don't know. Again, this doesn't seem like the card that Ember Ruby wanted to play, since it's a deck more based on actions and recycling actions and singing actions for free with Robin Sharpshooter, and maybe if you're running that deck with the Ursula Deceiver of All, which is the version I have, you then double sing some of the actions because they're songs and all that stuff, and you get them back with Maui Shark, and you also gain the lore because of Maui Shark's passive ability. And yeah, this isn't it. Emerald Ruby, one of the biggest problems is card draw, but this isn't what the deck wanted, right? Especially at 6 cost and being a 3/5. So this card is not gonna see play. Yeah, we have like the Blurple Sven. Actually, if I put here for the Blurple cards, obviously there are powerful blue cards. This Merlin is interesting. 1/01, whenever this character quests, name a card, then reveal the top card of your deck. Let's gonna build a troll deck that has Bruno Madrigal and has Merlin's Cottage, where you can see the top of the deck. And it's yet another card for that type of deck. I don't know if Shot is still in the chat, but he's gonna have nightmares with that deck from facing it at the Birmingham Challenge. So it might be interesting to play, and of course it provides the cheapest shift target for a big Merlin, right? For that tutor action with the big Merlin card. Oh god, this Cusco art gives me nightmares. I don't know why, but it's really weird. It's really weird, and yeah, it's not a usable card. I love this Scrooge McDuck card. Kenneth Anderson really outdid himself. just reminds me of the life and times of Scrooge McDuck, you know, the big magnum opus comic that is the foundation for the lore of Uncle Scrooge. And yeah, I love this card. I definitely see potential in this card, and I can see being a legendary that, I mean, I think either Scrooge McDuck or this Tamatoa will be an enchanted. I mean, they gotta be. One of these two has got to be an enchanted in the Sapphire Ink, right? I don't know if what you guys feel about that, but I think it would be really cool to see an enchanted of one of these two cards, right? And out of the announced ones, in terms of Amber, I mean, maybe Bolt would be a nice enchanted card, and since it's a new franchise and a new character that comes to Disney Lorcana, maybe they will give it one. Maybe they will give one to Lady or one of the Lady and the Tramp cards. Of course, there's still a lot of cards that they will be announced. Of course, we have, I mean, I don't think they will. This illustration is amazing. I don't think they will give Mufasa another enchanted. Of course, the Sapphire Big Mufasa is one of the best looking enchanteds in all of Disney Lorcana. Yeah. Then in checking out Emerald, well, we have Lady again. Yeah, and in addition to that, right, we have enchanteds of dual ink cards. So I am not sure how they will manage it. I think that there are a lot of cards that still aren't here. It's not just today's cards, right? Because Pete, the green, the Emerald Steel Pete isn't here, and he was revealed like 2 or 3 days ago, I think. Ink Geyser, I love the possibilities of this card, even if it's not really like effective or useful. Just the shenanigans of playing around with people's inkwell and adding cards and removing cards. It's a cool idea. It's a cool card that is bound to be fun. In terms of Ruby, they are pushing the racer concept a lot, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if they give this Calhoun an enchanted card. I would not be surprised at all. For the red steel archetype, now this is more like it, right? The red steel deck, the traditional version that people have tried to build is basically a challenger's deck. You want to be in characters' faces and doing combat and banishing them. And this it's not really based on you're not gonna outquest the opponent, so maybe this card will see action in that deck. It's reckless, so it's gonna be a challenger, right? Impatient hunter. But the fact that he's effectively a 3/4 and those 2 extra resist for just 3 cost, inkable on top of that, so I see a lot of potential in this card for the red steel challengers deck. Remains to be seen, however, if that deck archetype is solid and will be able to compete in a meta that has more tools and is faster. I think everyone recognizes Mushu Majestic Dragon is one of the best cards of the set. Again, these Ruby Steel cards are an example of how they are using the dual ink concept in order to specifically boost Ruby Steel, which is an ink combo that needed boosting without breaking Ruby or breaking Steel, because you need to play this ink combo. These two are great examples of doing it right, because I see people starting to play more and more red steel because it's getting this kind of support, and not so much sticking puppies in Amber Sapphire, for example. If we go to the Sapphire cards, we've talked about Ink Geyser and Lady Cluck. Lady Cluck, Lady Cluck enchanted. I mean, sign me up for that as well. That's another one. Sign me up. Again, Sapphire seems to be they keep giving Sapphire the Ink cool cards and powerful cards, so it's cool to see. And finally, for the steel one, I mean Mushu, Bolt, both great cards. The Troubadour, great card. Giant Cobra, great card. Denahi, good card. Lady Cluck is a cool card. I was talking about cheap shift target for medium bolt, and I actually missed this one, right? 1/3 that costs 2. Whenever this character quests, if he has no damage, you may draw a card, then choose and discard one. It's not the best thing in the world, right? Because you expected the 1/3 to cost 1. Of course, you draw a card, discard the card. Maybe, and I'm talking maybe, because I think it fits the color combo. Oh, it's not here because yeah, right, it was announced today. If people are trying to make a sheriff deck, right, the Sheriff of Nottingham card, where you ping 1 damage every time you discard a card, they keep adding these cards where you draw and discard, like the Cinderella, especially in steel, right? Like this Cinderella, which is from Rise of the Floodborn. You have the Huntsman. When he quests, you discard the card, and if all these cards that they keep adding, if you establish the Sheriff of Nottingham on the board, you're doing pings not because you have Robin's Bow or Plasma Cannon or even the Sherwood Forest or a lot of Robin Hood cards in your board, but you're doing them indirectly while you are basically cycling your deck and searching for the best cards, while you discard the cards that you don't want. Maybe they were uninkables and you couldn't play them, right? Yeah, but that's true. Steel has a lot of good cards in the 2 slot, right? This would be just for the specific combo if you wanted to use Sheriff and have the maximum amount of draw and discard cards in order to keep pinging the opponent. Of course, the pings deck has one big problem, which is the decks like Ruby Sapphire that either don't have a lot of characters, or they banish you, and then it's hard to rebuild. And of course, something like Green Steel with a lot of ward characters, because then you can't ping, right? And I'm not even sure if according to the rules, if you can't ping, chosen opposing character, so the ping gets lost and you can't do anything, right? Not just Green Steel, but Sapphire Steel as well. With Cogsworth is really annoying in that sense, because with the resist, giving resist 1 to everything really shuts down the pings deck. And I felt that in the Bologna challenge, where I played against with my pings deck, my Beast Relentless Robin Hood pings deck, and I played against someone that had like the Sapphire Steel, and as soon as he put Cogsworth on the board, but my game was over, right? Because not only am I not damaging him, his characters, my Beast Relentless couldn't be ready to exert, to quest again and back and forth, right? Because the other guy has resist, he's not being damaged. So it completely shut down my deck. Obviously, I lost that matchup 2-0. And yeah, it was relatively easy for him to shut down my pings deck. Again, there's always bad matchups, right? There's always bad matchups. Again, I love these ideas. I love these ideas, not just the meta cards. I love these ideas of these rogue or off meta decks that might be better than people think, right? Twin Fire, even though it's like in a comment, I actually remember people thinking at when this card was revealed that it was gonna see play, maybe in addition to Fire the Cannons or replacing Fire the Cannons or something, but people really didn't play with it. But yeah, I think I think these Archazia's Island reveals have been underwhelming. I guess that would be the word. But again, they have 55 cards here. There's been much more, so maybe we are at like 70 something or 80 cards revealed so far. It's not even half of the set. So let's wait and see exactly what they are gonna pull out. At least from the Dual Link cards, I see a lot of cards. I see a lot of missed potential where they could be boosting ink combos that really needed it.